it's hard. Like, we're emotional, we're really sensitive, humans, and just like being able to say like what you did earlier made me upset. Like, that takes a lot out of you. If there really is something that has caused you to become angry more than once, I think it's best to just say it, get it out there, and then have a conversation about it with you. It's probably one of the most selfless things that a person could do.
Thank you so much for coming on. I've seen you all over TikTok. You have such like good wisdom that you speak through your videos, and I can see like so many people relate with you. One of the videos
Oh,
I
thank
saw
you.
that I think is a really good one that I want to touch on and I want you to touch on is worrying is like worshiping the problem you're going through. So can you tell people more about that and why it's so important to not like invest your energy into like negative thoughts and spiraling and so forth, and how do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so hard not to, worship a worry just because you're constantly reminded of it every day by going on social media, the people around you, and just like toxic expectations that have been made. And I've been an overthinker probably like my whole life, So this has been probably one of the hardest things I've had to overcome. But I think the main thing is just remembering that nobody cares about certain things the way you do. And I
Mm,
feel like it's just important to find other people who are so like, I don't give, what anybody else is saying. Like,
mm-hmm.
they just have this personality and this energy they have about themselves. It's like, I'm gonna be me as authentically as I can, and I know not everybody's gonna love it, not everybody's gonna accept it. So I just think surrounding yourself with people like that to remind you, and be patient with you is really important to not worship like a worry.
That's such a good point because who you hang out with is going to affect you more than we even realize. And another thing is like who you date really influences you
For
so much too.
sure.
I've changed sometimes I'm like, wow, I became a completely different person after dating that person.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so toxic, especially being with somebody who isn't secure with themselves, because then it could start to make you question, like, am I worthy enough? Am I confident enough? And
Mm,
some people are going to try dragging you down. So I always tell people, all around me in my life to shoot for higher than themselves.
I love that. That's so
Yeah.
important. So how do you go then with what advice would you give someone that's comparing themselves, maybe like comparing their journey to someone else? Maybe they want to be on social media and they're comparing their videos and views to someone else. Like how do you go about not comparing?
I feel like just knowing you don't know the other person's full story.
Mhm.
Because even with myself, a lot of my friends like to clock me a lot with my videos and just the way I've grown throughout the years. Like, you preach all this stuff online, but like you were just crying like a few minutes ago about the same situation. You know what I mean? And I think you could still talk about something and be confident about it, even if you're not 100% there yet. Nobody's ever going to be 100%. But I just feel like you don't know the silent battles people walk through and what it took to get them there. And even if somebody else is higher than you or you feel like they have more than you have to like sort of come back to reality a little bit and remember like you still are blessed with so much, and you just have to appreciate that before you can accept new things into your life.
I love that you said that too, that you sometimes will like make videos on stuff like you're actually going through, and even if you're not perfect at it, you still are sharing, because I feel like that's the
Yeah,
most authentic videos. It's like until you've actually lived an experience, how are you going to give anyone advice on it, right?
right.
So
1000%.
yeah, so the fact that you just like pick up a camera and it's almost like you're talking, even you're helping yourself remember like the standards you want to live by too.
Right. For sure, and I think my best videos by far have been ones where I've been so authentic about it, even if it doesn't come across to people in the way, like, I intend it to. Like, one of my most popular videos, it kinda got turned into, like, a meme, the date your best friend one, and, like, that one I was authentically speaking from the heart because 'cause I've dated people who, I wouldn't consider my best friend. I wouldn't, like, pick them out of a group of people to go hang out with, but, like,
Mm,
the person I'm with now has taught me and shown me, like, it is possible, and those are just the best types of relationships to have.
let's go into that one more. I love that because you're right.
Yeah.
So many people date someone because like maybe they they're like really good looking, or they make them feel like, or maybe they're hard to get, or maybe they are always on their toes, or like there's so many things that they're not like completely themselves with this person, and they think that's like what love is. So how do you go about knowing the difference, and how to maybe giving someone advice to really feel the difference?
Yeah, I think, it's there'll be a fine line to it because at the beginning of every relationship, you're gonna deal with the fireworks and just like it feels so good. And sometimes, for people who have childhood trauma, like their visions of love or their versions of love are like so altered. So
Mm,
it can be hard to differentiate like what does a healthy love look like. But I think ultimately when you are living your life authentically yourself, doing the things you would be doing outside of a relationship to an extent. I always like to say that, but just still living the life you want to live and still striving for something that's bigger than what you have now. Like, I feel like that's when you're with someone good and they
mm,
like push you to do that. They don't get insecure that you become more successful for them or, if I had a viral video, I feel like in my past relationship, he might not have liked that I had viral videos going on. He would have been like, "Okay, like, take them down." But the guy I'm with now, it's, like, such different energy where it's like, "I love that you're doing this. I love that you found something that makes you happy." And it's
mm.
just doing the same for each other.
That's so true. Yeah, it's so funny because so many people date someone that is almost like in competition with them, and then that's not like love.
Exactly.
Like,
At
oh, you're
all.
doing that? Well, it like makes them feel like they maybe don't have as much control over you if you're becoming successful. And then that's like not true love, because real love is loving to see the person you love do what they love. Like seeing them happy makes you feel so much love.
Right. I completely agree.
But it's hard because yes, so and like you said, a lot of our childhood wounds make us think that we deserve this type of love. So some people get stuck in that type of love and they can't differentiate what real love even looks like. And then a lot of times they're not even attracted to the person that is giving them like secure, steady love, because they're like, oh, this is boring.
Exactly, and eventually it will get boring. I
Mm,
found out time after time again because you can only handle so much being told no or, like, being pushed down, like, eventually it comes out, and that's when I think it gets a little ugly before you can, like, stop the problem yourself because you're just gonna build up so much resentment and anger towards a person when it could be, you know, prevented if you just
mm-hmm,
thought about yourself first at the beginning, and it's hard, like, I think these are hard things, nobody wants to think about them at the beginning of a relationship, but I tell people who are actively trying to find someone, like, "Don't waste your time." You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean?
So what was your experience that led you to really understanding this? Because you're so wise and you're so young,
Yeah,
I feel. So like a
I
lot of,
am.
yeah, a lot of like females your age and even women that are older still are in situations like this.
Yeah.
So what was your experience that led you to even understanding this fully?
So, I think before above everything, like, my mom and I are really close in age because my mom had me at a young age, so
Mm,
my mom was very much the type of woman who let me, date young or, talk to people young, like, just live life and experience things, and I think I've just experienced things to the point where I have been brought down and I felt like I wasn't good enough anymore, and it led me to go down really dark paths with my mental health and certain things around that area that one day I just woke up and I was like, "I'm not enjoying, being in a relationship, and I don't enjoy having to feel like I have to have a boyfriend in order to be happy." Because
mm,
like, you can never get that, like, fine balance. Because then it's like you see a TikTok of a couple and they're doing some cute thing on Christmas or, like, just little things, and then you just start feeling so unhappy. So, I'm not gonna lie, like, I was on a spree. I was going back to back to back, trying to find, someone I could share memories with, and, like, I am young, so
mm-hmm,
it's not something that should be important, but unfortunately, like, that's just the reality of how things are today, and, I just remember finally one day, I took a big step back, and I decided to not talk to anyone for, like, a year, and I really just spent that year doing the things I wanted to do, spending time with my friends and my family, and I realized, like, there's so many more important things in life that matter way more than a relationship would, you know? And like I learned to enjoy the holidays that would have reminded me like, oh, you're single, like Valentine's Day. Like I had a Valentine's Day with my friends, and I just realized life could be so beautiful with or without a partner, you know, like it'll come when it comes type of thing.
It's so true. It's so true. I love everything you just said, because the when you take the time to actually find a way to fall in love with your life now and get fulfilled with your life, that's when someone can actually meet you at the level of what you deserve. But when you're in a place of like needing it and feeling lack and unfulfilled and needing someone to replace that negative feeling, you're by law of attraction, you're lining up with the frequency of someone that also is in an empty space and so forth. And then you're attracting these like
Exactly.
unfulfilling relationships. So you're so right. And my sister did the same thing. She like was like, okay, I'm just going to commit to being single and I'm not even going to look for someone and so forth. And then it was like finally when she did that for a good amount of time and like started creating community and friendships and making her life exciting and taking up hobbies, that was when she met someone. And it was through one of the hobbies. She met them when she was like trying to learn
Right.
golf. And I was like, that's so cool. So they'll just like
That
come
is
into
so
your life
true.
without you looking. So
Right. I feel like, and like this, there's such peace of mind knowing that. Like when you're your highest self, that's when the person meant for you is going to come in, you know? And I also think that you need to experience the relationships that do bring you down just so that you can learn to appreciate it when it does come into your life. You know what I mean?
so
Like,
true.
I feel like I would not be able to be with, you know, the partner I'm with today, or even the person I am today, if I didn't go through that. So it's like I'm grateful for it, and I hope nobody has to go through it to the extent I did, which is why I make videos, you know, just expressing to really stand up for yourself. But yeah,
That's so cool. I love that. It's empowering. And I think you get to a point in your life where you have to ask yourself like if I mean, especially like looking back in our generations, a lot of us grew up with parents that are divorced, and then we got to see like what that looks like, and it's like more and more common to get divorced. And for me, I've always thought, I'm like, okay, do I want to like relive the life that I grew
right.
up in and create that environment for like my future kids, or do I want to now go slow and be very like in tune with the type of life I'm signing up for, because the person you end up with is going to affect every single thing in your life every day. It's crazy.
100%. 100%. Like they're the person you go to with everything. So it is going to affect little decisions you make. It is going to affect what you want to do career wise. And I think once it gets to that point where it is affecting, do I want to go to college out of state, or do I want to do this? You know, like I think that's when it's time to really like reevaluate the situation and say, like, am I living for myself or am I living for another human?
Mm-hmm. And is that like you're saying that person can hold you back from so many things. Another thing I noticed, I'm curious if you did, is like anytime I would get in a breakup and that was like heartbreaking and so forth, yes, I would go through pain, but like I had my biggest transformations after that. Like you go through the pain, but like now I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank God I'm not with that person. Look how much I was
1000%.
able to do because of like that heartbreak almost like pushes you into a new like path that you might have not went down.
Yeah. It forces you, you know? And I think you're like, I think heartbreak, like, it's so weird to say, but I think it's so beautiful because you truly do just continue growing into yourself. And like I try, and it's hard for people to understand. Like most of my videos also come from the advice I give my friends that they just choose not to listen to. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of get a little frustrated because I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here giving you all this advice, but you're texting him again. But I understand, like, it's not that easy for some people. It takes that time. It takes going through it over and over again. But yeah, I just think that if people just need to be a little more patient around the topic, just because, you know, everybody heals differently, and I think healing isn't linear all the time, and I don't know, like, I would never recommend somebody just to watch and binge watch, like, all my videos and think they're automatically gonna be healed. Like, I think healing takes growing into yourself multiple different times over and over again, and I think it's just an ongoing process.
Yeah, 100%. What do you feel like is your favorite relationship advice?
Um, my favorite advice would probably be to, just treat the other person how you would want to be treated,
Mhm.
and like really just learn their love languages so that you can make them feel loved. Because I think a lot of things also in relationships nowadays that I notice people get into fights about is they're like, they're doing this so that makes me feel unloved. Even, because that's how you feel loved, but not everybody knows that. So I think it's really important to just take the time, get to know how your person likes to be loved, and then when you're getting mad at them over something or, if you're just having an off day, before you freak out on them, just kinda thinking like, "Would I want them to get this upset if I was doing the same thing?" You
Mhm.
know?
That's so
Like, I
true.
think
No one can read your mind, and
yeah,
everyone loves differently. That's so true. Another thing you made me just think of right then was like treating someone how you want to be treated takes a lot of courage in a relationship if you haven't yet fully healed. Because for an example, and we've probably all done this, but like maybe the guy you're with that you really like one night he like wants to hang out with his friends, and then maybe that hurts you, so then now you play like a game back with him, and like now
exactly.
you're playing maybe childish games trying to create situations where it's like hot and cold and like all these things. And so like being once you I think this takes time, but once you evolve into yourself and you move into more healthy relationships, treating someone how you want to be treated is like moves into, okay, instead of like being like a little brat about this situation and just expecting that he should know that he hurt my feelings, so I'm going to play these games with him. Instead of doing that, I'm now going to communicate next time.
Right.
And I
I
think
swear you just, like, went into my head of, like, every mistake I've ever made because that's me to the T. Like, it's
same,
so
I did that
bad.
so much. I feel like so many girls do because we're trying to protect ourselves, but then we don't
For
realize
sure.
that leads into so many problems, like we're saying. So I think the hardest part that you have to like shift in your head is it feels like weak to say that you feel a certain way or you're hurt, but actually it's like strength when you set standards for what you do expect in a relationship and what you won't expect. And I think that shift in your head as a woman to be like, oh, I don't have to play these games, I could actually just say, this is my standards, this is my value, this is what I expect, these are my boundaries. And obviously you're not going to say it in like a very like rude way, but you're like, hey,
Yeah.
you know when you went out with your friends that night and you didn't hit me up at night, like it didn't make me feel good or safe in the relationship. Like this is the type of relationship I'm looking for. Like it makes me feel safe when you say like you're home and that you're going to sleep. That's what I'm looking for. And like you kind of
Mhm.
slowly set these things of how you feel safe and loved. And we assume at a lot of points in our lives like, oh, that's embarrassing, I don't want to look like I care that much, and so forth. But you kind of just slowly start to earn your value for yourself and what you know you deserve. And then the other person, the guy in this case, can feel like, oh, shoot, I need to like step up to the plate if I want to keep a woman like this.
Right.
And that's
For
the
sure.
shift.
For sure, and I 100% agree with you. It's probably one of the most selfless things that a person could do, especially a woman. Like, it's hard, like, we're emotional, we're really sensitive, humans, and just, like, being able to say, like, "What you did earlier made me upset," like, that takes a lot out of you, and,
Mm-hmm.
like I told you, like, that's been probably one of the things I've struggled with my entire life because I like to be silent and kinda, like, let it sit there because I'm like, "I don't wanna sound crazy, like, I don't want him to think that I'm just some psycho girlfriend who doesn't want him to do this, and that." But at the same time, like, if there really is something that has caused you to become angry more than once, I think it's best to just say it, get it out there,
Mm-hmm.
and then have a conversation about it.
Exactly. And it's also always about how you communicate. And then another thing I've learned is like, and this is why choosing the right partner is so important, because the right partner, like the right guy that you are with, is going to be able to create a safe space for you to express yourself. Obviously, it's your job also as the woman to express yourself in a way that's not going to be like attacking them, and more in a like, hey, a big one I always learned, which helps so much, is like, this is how it made me feel instead of you did this. This is
Mhm.
how it made me feel when this happened. 'Cause no one can get mad at you for your feelings. But if the other person, the guy in this case, feels attacked and goes into defensive and pushes back and doesn't know how to like sit there with you and be like, oh, I'm sorry that that made you feel that way. I would never want you to felt that way. I
Mhm.
felt so bad because my guy friend has been asking me to hang out for weeks now. And I'm like, you know what? I really should go see him. And then you guys have that conversation and then you understand him. He understands you. And then now you guys are good. Whereas, that's another layer of it is like the wrong partner doesn't create emotional safety. And that's what I've been learning a lot about too. Like men need to also create emotional safety as well as physical
Mhm.
safety. And the emotional safety is when you actually feel like you could put your wall down and be authentic and open up to the guy you're with, and that he's going to create a safe space to actually understand you instead of going straight into defending himself and not seeing you and so forth. And that's a
Yeah.
whole nother layer.
I mean, it is, like, it just makes me think about so much, like, it's common, guys get defensive about little things all the time, and I think it's just no man wants to feel like you're attacking them,
Mm-hmm.
or what they're doing isn't good enough, or you're not appreciating everything they've done for you, but I don't think that's really our intention as women when we bring up a problem, but unfortunately, like, that's how it's translated to a guy's mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think it's important to say, like, like, "I know that you love me in these ways, but I felt unloved when you did this,"
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And that's how you start to, and when you get to those levels in a relationship with someone, then you look back at your previous relationships and you can be like, oh, okay, that's why it didn't work out. And you start to evolve. And the best thing that I feel like is the biggest blessing for anyone listening is like the moment you actually meet someone that's a mature love, like a healthy love, like we're talking about, you can't unsee it. Like once you experience that, you're like, oh, okay, I can't go back to like
Right.
these games and like
Exactly.
all this like these fights about stupid things when you really look back at it just because two people didn't know how to communicate or were defensive or prideful or so forth, or the relationships where someone's upset and then they like completely like walk out or they don't talk to you for a few days and leave you feeling like what's going on, like you're just like,
Mhm.
I don't want to. You start to get to a place where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was dealing with that. Like that's so, you want someone that's like going to show up and doesn't want you to go through pain either. And it's like, let's talk about it. I'm here when you want to talk about it, so forth. Like a
Yeah.
guy's role is to make you feel safe. And that's a
Of
huge one. A lot
course.
of men don't fully have that experience and safety within themselves to give that to someone else. And I've noticed that a lot with my friends and their relationships. And it's like when you're constantly like guessing where you stand with a man, it's because the man is the one that's supposed to lead the relationship. So if you're confused all the time, it's because he's leading you to that place, you know?
100%. 100%. Because I think there's only so much as a woman you can do, and I I love the Wizard Liz. Like, I
Oh,
love her
yes.
philosophy on things so much. Like, I say, like, most of my videos are, like, things I talk about and my takes on things, like, it's like a combo of the Wizard Liz and Leo Skeppy, like, if they had a
Mm,
baby.
yeah.
Like, that's just, like, I just feel like both their minds together are so, so good because it just teaches you, like, nothing in life is, free, like, and people don't owe you anything. You earn the respect in a relationship. You earn the respect in friendships. And
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's important to realize, like, you're gonna have so many arguments and fights, but if you continue having that wall up and that pride, like, you're gonna continue going nowhere with it. And it's just gonna be the
Exactly.
same mistakes that you're gonna bring in to the next relationship unless you take the step and realize what you're doing wrong, or I wouldn't say like wrong, but just what you're not doing the best yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true. I feel like, yeah, you're probably your friends are so lucky to have you to be like, okay, what do I do with this situation? Do you find yourself being that
Yeah.
girl that has to help them through a bunch of situations or like, how do I text back to this? I feel like you're so like calm and grounded. So
Yeah.
I could
No,
see you
it's
being that.
funny because I feel like I ask them more, like,
Oh,
"What should
okay.
I do?" Like, like, a lot of my friends, the ones who I've made, like, videos about, like, I've low-key, like, kinda exposed, like, no name dropping or
Yeah.
anything, but, like, their exact situation, I've been like, "If they're doing this, They laugh at my videos and they're like, "You're so funny for like bringing this up just because I wouldn't listen to you." But my friends are really supportive about it, and I've actually gotten so many texts this year of people just telling me that they silently watch my videos. And like,
Aw.
they're in my life, but they don't come to me directly. They sort of just will scroll and they're like, "Yeah, like you answer my questions in the videos."
Did you notice a lot change in your life once you started having a more stable relationship in love, like such as in your career, your home life, your personal life? Like, did things start to change if you actually look back at the difference between when you were in maybe like a more toxic
Mhm.
relationship to how that affects your world to now being in a more stable relationship?
Yeah, so I think like a big things changed, like family, friends, and work life, like the major 3, and I think that was the most assuring thing to me when I was, starting the relationship was, okay, like, all these things are just blossoming. Like, I've been in relationships before where I felt like I was isolated and I wasn't having any job opportunity, like, it's just no drive, but my parents, for the first time, this is the first time they've ever liked a single guy I brought home, and I think that was,
Oh
like,
my God.
my biggest thing for me because I've spent relationships where I've completely destroyed the relationship with my own mom, and, it's hard because my
Mm,
mom is, like, my best friend. I confide in her in so much, and just whenever you have those days where you get into an argument in the relationship and then you come back home to see your family, it can suck because you don't feel comfortable enough to talk about it with your, support system. So that was one of the most life-changing things was having your parents approve of the person you're with, and I think it goes
mm.
to show, like, when you have a healthy relationship with your parents, I would trust them the most when you bring someone home and they genuinely are telling you they don't see good in that person. Because 9 times
Mm.
out of 10, like, my mom has been right about a lot of people in my life, and I hate to say it. I hate to give her that credit, especially in the moment. I'm like, please don't, like, put that energy out into the universe, like, I'm enjoying it, I'm living my life, like, I don't need your input on this right now, but she's been right, so just her really loving that I'm with him, like, literally the other day, she was like he was flying back home, because he went back to New Orleans for a month, and I hadn't seen that was the longest we've been apart, so I was like, "I'm, like, so excited to see him," and every day she'd be like, "Are you excited he's coming home? Like, when are you gonna go get him from the airport?" And I was like, "This is so cute that, like, I could, like, share this with my mom." And then,
Yeah.
like, my job and everything, like, I started beausmother before we, officially started dating. We were kinda, like, talking, going through a weird period. But the fact that I was still continuing to do my videos and I got more gigs from it. I started a new job once we started dating. Like it was insane. Like so many good changes happened that I've always wanted to happen in my life started once I had the comfortability of someone who supported me.
100%. I always hear this through spirituality. It's like if one area of your life is like not aligned with you, then it leaks into other areas. So
Yeah.
like that's why it's so true. It's like once you and someone told me this, it was like some spiritual teacher. She's like, you don't even know what it will do to you to be in a healthy relationship. She's like, your nervous system will be so calm and you will approach then anything in your life with a more calm, peaceful like perspective.
Mm.
And so once you're like not so we don't realize how much time gets spent thinking about someone when it's a toxic relationship, like how much you're spiraling, how much you're, oh, he didn't text me yet, it's been 2 hours, like what is he doing, like how much space in our brain
Yeah.
goes to that and how much like we're investing in this relationship if it's not healthy. And so it gets addicting for people and they find themselves stuck in it. But I feel like it's so, we don't know how much of a blessing it will be to our entire life when we actually take the pause and reflect if this person is actually adding value to your life or are they just draining you is like
Mhm.
a hard question to ask. But once you get a healthy love, you're like, wow, my whole life is lifted.
You could take a breath. Like, it's
Yeah.
insane sometimes how I feel, and it's, like, a little too much at times because you'll spend the whole day with them, and it's like, "I don't wanna go back to work." Like, I don't wanna have to
Yeah.
start turning my brain on anymore. Like, I'm so comfortable with just having he knows my mind so well, and, like, just even my friends, like, the solid friends I have, like, they all know my head so well that I feel like I can just kinda slow down for a few minutes because people don't realize, like,
Yes.
I speak so much in my videos, but it's exhausting because my mind is constantly like that. It's not something I can
Mm-hmm.
turn off so easily. So to have people that are the complete opposite talking spectrum of me and just, like, appreciate my presence and let me know that it's okay to take a second and not have to talk, like, it's so rewarding, genuinely.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's so nice. So they like bring you back down into the present moment.
Yeah.
I always say those are the best relationships when you're like not looking at your phone so much at the
Yes.
time and like time passes. Like you're just so in the moment with this
Yeah,
person. I'm like, those are the good people in your life, even
for
friendships.
sure.
We were talking about when we got cut off for a second because the phone died or the phone ran
My
out of storage. And we were
storage.
talking about, yeah, we were talking about, and I was like, I want to talk about this is, it's just interesting to become an emotionally intelligent female and then it's not as like praised in the industry to or just in the industry just in general in the world for men to take as much time on their emotional world as they do on their outside world,
Mm,
whereas women we have so many like emotions and feelings, so like it's more common for a woman to start working on their emotional world and be like, okay, I need to deal with this. So once you become more emotionally intelligent, it's can be tough to find a man that's also emotionally
for
intelligent
sure.
because they're not as praised for that. They're more praised for like their outside world
Mm,
and their
for sure. Their
accomplishments.
accomplishments, exactly, and I think
Yes.
it's probably women are probably lent I don't wanna say an easier route, but it's like, at the end of the day, when you do have a good head on your shoulders, women are praised for that, where I don't see a lot of
Mm-hmm.
men, online getting praised for their mind or the way they think. I think it's more just, "Oh, like, he won the Super Bowl," or "He won,"
Yes.
like, it just materialistic things that at the end of the day, they don't matter as much as a good, intelligent mind. I feel like it takes you much further than any success, you could have.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And everything starts from that place in your whole life. And that's what I always try to say to guys that I've dated previously. For some reason, I've always attracted guys that are emotionally unavailable. So that was something I had to go through. And obviously, that's just from childhood and not feeling like I was complete, like I felt like I had to work to get attention or to get the focus on me and so forth. So then I assumed that's what love was, is
Mhm.
like any guy that was too emotionally available, like, yeah, this is how what it is, and it was too like easy. I'm like, oh, nope, I'm gonna go to the guy that's like
Yeah,
closed off and has a hard time
yeah.
expressing themselves, and I'm like pulling it out of them to
So
to
draining,
tell me how they
so
feel.
draining. And, like, I'm sure you've dealt with this too, but, like, those are the same types of guys where I feel like they're more of, like, the fixer-upper type of relationships. Like, I have
Yes.
always been dealt that, and I think it's just having, again, the emotional intelligence and being able to see the good in people and little spots that, you just see potential, and sometimes seeing potential is such a great thing, but it can also really hurt your own ego when people don't follow your words of wisdom or the things that you see
Mm-hmm.
them doing. They take their own path, and it's been hard for me over the years to accept that people are gonna do what they wanna do ultimately in a relationship, um, and you just have to learn to say your piece, but you don't have to expect them to actually follow through with it. I think it's important
That's so true.
to get it out there, but if you, like, continue just stressing and sitting there and, like, you're gonna become exhausted, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's so exhausting.
It's it's so true what you just said too. Sorry, my cat. Um, uh, that a lot of times the more emotionally intelligent you become, the more you can see through someone's like mask.
Mhm.
So if they're like defensive or they like are hurt by something, you're like, okay, but I see the good in them. Let me help them
Yeah,
see this within themselves and
right.
let it go so they can grow. And I've done that my whole
Let me
all
heal
my
them,
relationships.
like
Yeah. And then it's like, what am I doing? Like
right.
I'm becoming like a teacher.
Right, it's like I always use this analogy, it was like I felt like a mom. Like, I felt like I was
Yes.
starting from the ground up, like, "No, we don't talk to people like this is how we do it, we have to sign up for our classes." Like, it's insane sometimes the things I was doing.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. There's so many relationships like that. And you know what's crazy too that I've realized is I've seen like adults that are married for, with kids and stuff. I've seen them still mothering in the relationship
Yeah.
to this day. Like, haven't you seen how those dynamics like unfold in the future? Like, where the woman's always telling the man like, do this, or you didn't do this, or you didn't do this. They're like constantly having to be that role, but it just ends up in a very unhealthy dynamic.
Hmm.
So I think that you're right. It's like a blessing and a curse to be able to see the positive in someone and want to help them and so forth, because obviously seeing the positive in others is beautiful, but not when it's like to your own detriment and you're just constantly sacrificing yourself to help someone else.
Yeah, your own
And
sanity.
do you believe? Yes. I said that the other day. I'm like, it's insanity.
Yeah.
Do you believe that the right person kind of comes into your life or like, what do you feel like that looks like, the right person in a dynamic with love? Like, do they have a lot of those things already and you don't feel like you're necessarily having to constantly teach them?
Yeah. So I think the right person is going to be, it might not look like they're at the same level as you, but I think you guys ultimately will be equal, Like I
Mm-hmm.
still have some things I need to work on, but you also know that you have some things you need to work on too. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
when it's unbalanced and you're the one who, has it all together and they still have a lot of deep baggage to work on, it's just not destined to succeed as a relationship just because of the fact that there are certain like traumas that you need to not be in a relationship for, or you need to be broken up with and to learn that lesson. Like taking the
Mm-hmm.
time to really like figure yourself out, because I don't think a relationship should be the whole time like let's play therapy, like let's continue like helping each other through things that are you can't sometimes help some people with. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think some people actually do need to take the time, go to therapy, or speak with just more professional people to help them get there. And sometimes I felt like, okay, well, I have a pretty good head on my shoulders. I think I could tell them the same thing of what my therapist tells me, so maybe it'll work. But at the end of the day, it's not going to unless they take the initiative themselves.
So true. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Them actually them actually wanting to do it, taking the initiative, seeing that they have something they want to work on is such a different thing than you pointing it out and them being like, okay, yeah. And then it keeps happening.
Yeah.
Like,
And it feels so
yeah.
disrespectful in a relationship because you're like, "This is like a slap in the face," but ultimately, like, they're still healing, and that's something you have to
Mm-hmm.
remember so you don't let it, like, affect how you feel about yourself. Like, you're still, amazing for being a person who's trying to pour into someone, but you can only help someone who wants to be helped.
Mm-hmm. So true. Let me see what else I wrote down that I wanted to ask you so I make sure I don't miss
Yeah.
anything. Um, okay, this is a good one. What are some of your daily habits that you do to make yourself in a good headspace?
So, I'm gonna be as transparent as possible. I
Yes.
I don't think I do anything every day. Like, I'm very, like, all
Mm-hmm.
over the place. But when I can, I think something I really love to do is journal. Journaling is, like, one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite things, and I have the 5-minute journal, and I've used this journal for years now. Like, I just buy a new one at the start of every year. And I think it's so important to just ground yourself in the morning and then back at night. And it's also, like, fun to keep, like, the memories and read through some of the old ones. Like, I can't believe I was grateful about this that day, and it was something that, is just so stupid to your now healed self, but it's, like, it's nice to see how much you've grown through that, and I think it also helps keep you really accountable to, it makes you
Mm-hmm.
list out, like, things I'm grateful for, and I think when you do that, it almost sets you up too at the end of the day. Even if you have the most terrible day, you can look back at that at the end of the day and be like, "Okay, I'm healthy, my family's healthy," like, whatever you write down. So that's one of the things I do, and then another thing that's really important to me that I've been is, like, kinda like a New Year's resolution to keep keep doing it, but I love going to church on Sundays because I feel like that just
Mm.
sets up my whole mindset of the week. And I don't know, it's really healing for me. Like, I've been going since I was a kid, but it's more of like an adult thing to now choose to go on my own. It's not something a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
talk about, but it's so different when you decide like what you want to do to grow your mind. And I think it's so important, like, for people to find something, whether it be going to church or, joining a group or doing like yoga, you know what I mean? Just something that
Mm-hmm.
grounds them at least once a week to help continue their momentum and their growth throughout the year.
Yeah, I so agree. It makes you feel very yeah, it makes you feel very grounded and having a sense of peace and fulfill. It adds that like reasoning for why you're doing things and why you get back up, and it gives you everyone needs something, and a lot of times when you just feel lost, it's because you maybe don't have that
Exactly.
place or that thing that you do to bring yourself back into you. So I feel like that's so huge. And I love that you were honest. It's good.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
Because
not gonna
when we hear
lie.
someone be like, yeah, when someone's like has like this huge regimen, it's like, okay, I can't relate with that. I wish I could be that, but I
Right.
can't.
It's so unrealistic, and then I'm gonna have people watching this being like, "What am I doing wrong?" But you're not doing anything
Yeah.
wrong. You could follow my routine and do it when you get the motivation to do it, you know?
Yeah, literally. Um, uh, what else did I want to ask you? Oh, I love the video where you're saying, think about your younger self that would be in awe with the life you have
Yeah.
now. That was like such a
I
cute
love that
video.
one too.
Yeah, so would you touch on that, like when someone should do that in their life and how you do that and so forth?
Like, reflect on how your younger self would feel. I don't
Yeah.
feel like there's, like, a certain time that people should do it. I think it will just come to you sometimes. Like,
Mhm.
when you set up that space, like we were talking about earlier, when things are fully aligning in your life and you're with the your dream partner and just things feel so whole, your younger self, like, it's so important because I remember I was a super insecure kid, and I never really felt like I was myself, until I changed in a lot of ways, physically, mentally, but I think just knowing that you keep striving to get more and more and more, or look like this influencer or that influencer, like, just take a second to realize, like, the younger you would be, like, going insane right now. Like, I would look up to the girls, like, around me when I was younger, and I'd be like, "Oh, I wanna be like them when I'm older," but, like, I'm confident enough to say that I know I could be in the same room with my younger self, and she'd be like, "I would wanna be like her when I'm older." And that's just something that, like, makes me
Yeah.
so happy because it's like, you don't I don't appreciate myself a lot or really realize, like, how far I've actually come. Like, I know, but once
Mhm.
you reflect on it more, it just helps build you to know that, like, hard times are gonna continue happening. You're gonna keep getting things in life that are gonna bring you down, but just knowing that you've already made it this far, yourself now could potentially be looking at an even older version of you in more awe, you know?
Yeah. That's such a good perspective to take. I love that. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, that's so true, because a lot of us just like go through life and we're like constantly like next thing,
Yeah.
next thing, and we're not stopping to be like, okay, wait, I actually do have things I could be grateful for now.
Yeah.
My life is pretty good. Like, I actually would be proud of myself. That is really cool that I did do this, and I do have that friend, and I do have this opportunity, or I achieved this. Like, and that is the space where now that energy is so like powerful. We
Mhm.
don't feel that enough. Like accomplishment, like the feeling of being accomplished, or the feeling of being grateful, or the feeling of being fulfilled, or the feeling of just being at peace. Like all these feelings that comes with are so powerful to attract more abundance and more things to be grateful for. So I feel like I was at such a good point of like constantly at least reminding yourself to come back into that space. Like one of the things I have is I have like a baby picture of me next to my
Aw.
bed, so that if I'm like hard on myself and like
Yeah.
just too, yeah, just hard on myself, I could see that little girl and be like, you know,
Yeah.
because our little girl is still inside
Yeah.
of us, and like, how would she feel about this? And okay, I have to take care of her, and like, she would be proud, and like things
For
you're saying.
sure.
But I saw such another good perspective that you just said of like, oh yeah, and then there's going to be a me in the future that's going to be proud,
Exactly.
even more in awe, that I'll be more in awe of now. So I was like, that's so cute.
Right.
Is there anything that you want to touch on that maybe I didn't touch on that you would want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think this was pretty good, you know? Like
Yeah.
I ramble a lot. Like I don't know if you noticed in my videos, a lot of it is like clipped because I get so sidetracked. I start stuttering and whatever, but I think I got like everything I had in my head off my chest. So
Okay, cool.
yeah.
No, it was so nice chatting with you.
So
I
nice
loved
meeting
talking to you, and
you.
your videos are amazing, and you could feel how warm of a person you are inside and how genuine you are through the videos, and I can say even more through this episode. So thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
coming
much
on.
for having me. It was so nice talking to
Yeah.
you.
Oh, so anyone that's listening on my side, they'll want to know where they can find you. So if you want to say your social handles.
Yeah, so you could follow me on TikTok. It's at beausmother, BEAUS. And then on Instagram, it's going to be beausmother Aly, ALY.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. You're
Nice,
amazing.
thank you.